A complete meltdown on the phone. These are the chilling words used to describe the frantic, desperate reaction of King Charles's most senior spin doctor, a man named Tobin. This wasn't just a bad day at the office for the royal communications team. This was the sound of the Buckingham Palace fortress cracking under immense, unbearable pressure. A bombshell story had just detonated, a leak so sensitive, so profoundly personal, that it sent the highest echelons of the British monarchy into what multiple sources are now calling total panic. We are talking about the king's own funeral plans. The meticulously guarded, top-secret documents, reportedly codenamed Operation Menai Bridge, were suddenly splashed across the pages of the Telegraph. And in a desperate countermove, the palace launched what insiders are calling a huge censorship operation to try and contain the spill. But why such an extreme, almost frantic reaction to a plan for an event that is, for any mortal, an inevitability? What secrets were hidden within these plans that the palace was so desperate to keep under wraps? And perhaps the most explosive question of all, with the leak now confirmed to have originated from inside the palace itself, who is the traitor in the court of King Charles? Today, we are pulling back the velvet curtain on the chaos, the cover-up, and the shocking revelations that could redefine the future of the royal family. We will explore the 24-hour war between the palace and the press, dissect the explosive details that name Prince Harry and Meghan Markle as central figures in the king's final farewell, and investigate the mystery that has shaken the monarchy to its very core. The call, it appears, is coming from inside the house. Royal funeral plans are not mere event schedules. They are among the most sacred and closely held documents in the kingdom, a blend of statecraft, security, and solemn tradition. For 70 years, the world knew of Operation London Bridge, the detailed plan for Queen Elizabeth II's passing. It was a masterpiece of logistical and ceremonial planning, rehearsed and refined over decades, to ensure a seamless transition of power and a dignified period of national mourning. It's logical to assume that its successor, Operation Menai Bridge, named symbolically for the suspension bridge in Wales, the country Charles represented as prince for over 60 years, has been subject to the same level of intense secrecy and preparation. These plans dictate everything from the moment of death notification to the day of the state funeral, coordinating government, military, and international protocol. For such a document to leak is not just an embarrassment, it is a profound violation of security and tradition, a breach that raises immediate, alarming questions. The public's first thought, naturally, turns to the king's health, especially in light of his recent cancer diagnosis. Is the situation more precarious than the carefully curated public statements would have us believe? The palace's panicked reaction, their desperate bid to kill the story, could easily be interpreted as a sign that this leak was dangerously premature, revealing a truth they were not ready to confront publicly. The spin doctor's meltdown becomes more than just anger over a scoop. It becomes the desperate act of a man trying to protect his monarch and the institution from a tidal wave of morbid speculation and national anxiety. But as we dig deeper, another, more complex possibility emerges. What if the panic wasn't just about the timing of the leak, but about the explosive, game-changing content within it? The Telegraph's article was provocatively titled, "Prince Harry and Meghan at Heart of King's Funeral Plans." This single detail is a seismic event in the ongoing royal saga, an earthquake tearing through the fractured landscape of the House of Windsor. Let's be brutally clear. The relationship between the Sussexes and the royal family has been more than just fractured. It has been a public spectacle of acrimony. Following their dramatic departure from royal duties, we witnessed the bombshell Oprah Winfrey interview, the revealing Netflix documentary, and Prince Harry's tell-all memoir, Spare, which laid bare years of perceived slights and deep-seated pain. The rift seemed not just wide, but permanent. Harry and Meghan have been systematically ostracized, their criticisms painting a picture of a cold, uncaring, and even latently racist institution. So, the revelation that King Charles has personally planned for his estranged son and daughter-in-law to be involved at the highest level and to have central roles in his funeral is nothing short of revolutionary. This isn't just an olive branch, it's a whole forest. It suggests that, in his final plans, the king is making a powerful statement about family, forgiveness, and the future shape of the monarchy. Is this Charles the father? A man who, in the face of his own mortality, is reaching out to a beloved son in a final, posthumous act of reconciliation? Or is it Charles the King, a shrewd strategist who understands that the image of a united family, even in grief, is absolutely essential for the survival of the crown in the 21st century? A fractured family burying its patriarch sends a message of weakness and disarray to the world. A family that comes together, with the prodigal son and his wife welcomed back into the heart of the ceremony, sends a powerful message of continuity, strength, and forgiveness. One must also wonder what Prince William, the heir to the throne, makes of this. He has been the one holding the line, the dutiful son who has borne the brunt of his brother's public attacks. Would he view his father's plan as a beautiful act of forgiveness, or as a betrayal, a capitulation that undermines his own steadfast loyalty? This leak forces not just a public reevaluation, but a potential internal crisis. This leaked plan forces a complete reevaluation of everything we thought we knew about the king's feelings towards the Sussexes. It implies that, behind the scenes, away from the glare of the media, his desire for familial unity has overridden any bitterness or anger. The second key detail from the leak, while less dramatic, is equally intriguing. The national mourning period is set to be shortened. At first glance, this might seem like a minor logistical tweak, but in the world of royalty, symbolism is everything. The mourning period for Queen Elizabeth was a masterclass in tradition and spectacle, a long, solemn affair that allowed the nation and the world to grieve. A decision to shorten this period for the king would signal a major shift in royal philosophy. It aligns perfectly with Charles's long-stated ambition for a slimmed-down, more modern, less expensive monarchy. It suggests a monarch who is pragmatic, forward-looking, and perhaps more in tune with the pace and sensibilities of modern life, a king who understands that the country cannot grind to a halt for as long as it once did. It's a move away from the grand imperial spectacles of the past towards something more streamlined and contemporary, his final act of modernization. The contents of the leak are shocking enough, but the story of the palace's attempt to suppress it is just as revealing. The Daily Beast reported that Tobin Zierman, the king's communications chief, was very, very unhappy and personally lobbied the Telegraph for more than 24 hours to try and influence the timing and terms of publication. Imagine the pressure. The most powerful office in the land, a symbol of the nation, bringing its full weight to bear on a single newspaper, begging and demanding that they kill their own exclusive scoop. The Telegraph, to its credit, held its ground, citing the need to protect its editorial independence. This clash is a timeless drama, the powerful versus the free press. The palace's desperate attempt to control the narrative ultimately failed, and in doing so, made the story 10 times bigger than it might have been. The failed censorship operation is a story in itself, showing a palace that feels it is losing control. This attempt to control the message reportedly extended to the Royal Rota, the select group of journalists who are given privileged, though managed, access to cover the royals. Leaked group texts allegedly show that these journalists were also discouraged from picking up on the Telegraph story. This wasn't just about one article. It was an attempt to enforce a total media blackout, a move that feels more suited to an authoritarian state than a modern constitutional monarchy. The fact that the palace failed so spectacularly to gag the press is a powerful reminder that in the digital age, information, especially information this explosive, cannot be contained. If you believe in the crucial importance of journalists being able to report the facts without fear or favor, especially when powerful institutions try to silence them, take a moment to hit that like button. But the most unsettling part of this entire affair is the simple, undeniable fact confirmed by sources. The leak originated within the palace itself. This transforms the story from a simple case of media scoop into a palace intrigue worthy of a Shakespearean play. The fortress has been breached from the inside. This was not a lucky guess by a reporter or a long-lens photograph. This was a deliberate act of betrayal by someone with access to the highest levels of royal planning. So we are left with the ultimate whodunit. Who is the mole, and what was their motive? The possibilities are as fascinating as they are disturbing. Could it be a disgruntled courtier? A traditionalist from the old guard, horrified by the plan to include Harry and Meghan so centrally? Perhaps they leaked the details in a cynical attempt to sabotage this reconciliation by exposing it to public scorn, hoping a backlash would force the king to reconsider. Or could it be the opposite? A palace modernizer, a secret supporter of the Sussexes, who strategically leaked the plan to make it a public fact, thereby forcing the hand of other, more reluctant members of the family to accept Harry and Meghan's return to the fold. This would be a high-stakes political move, using the press as a tool to achieve a specific outcome within the family dynamic. Then there is the most Machiavellian theory of all. Could the leak have been authorized by someone incredibly close to the king, or even with his tacit approval? It seems unthinkable, but consider the effect. It sends an undeniable, public message to Harry and Meghan in California. It bypasses any intermediaries or courtiers, the so-called men in gray suits, who might wish to block such a reconciliation. It makes the king's wishes for unity unequivocally clear before anyone can attempt to water them down. It's a radical, high-risk strategy, but it would certainly change the entire dynamic of the royal conflict. It would mean the so-called panic and meltdown were simply theater, a masterful performance designed to mask the deliberate nature of the leak itself, a chess move of staggering audacity from a monarch often underestimated as a media operator. We may never know the truth, but what we do know is that this single event has exposed the deep fissures, high-stakes drama, and intense political maneuvering happening behind the palace walls. It reveals a monarchy grappling with its identity, torn between ancient tradition and the need for a modern future. It shows a father's desire to heal a divided family and a king's plan for his final, defining message to the world. The leak of Operation Menai Bridge is more than just a news story. It is a critical chapter in the history of the House of Windsor, one that has left the institution looking vulnerable, chaotic, and more fascinatingly human than ever before. The aftershocks of this will be felt for years to come. To make sure you're the first to know about our next investigation into the secrets and strategies of the world's most famous family, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and have clicked that notification bell. You won't want to miss what comes next. As the palace tries to regain control, one thing is certain: the story of King Charles and the Sussexes is far from over. This leak may have just started the final, most dramatic act.